and off. So this yoga session is going to start with relaxation, then beginning to warm up, and then we'll get to some standing work. And we are heading to doing some triangles to warrior with some twists. And I'd also like to do some sun salutes and some where we take thread the needle through the arm. So we're doing some torso twists. That would be really useful. So if you could come to your mat and lie comfortably, you might wish to put a block down near you for the practices we're doing, and also a blanket onto your mat to keep you warm for this bit, and maybe a blanket on top of you as well. So let's do the initial check-in. Just seeing how you are as you lie on your mat, hopefully quite comfortably. Settling into Shavasana. So Shavasana, the corpse pose, is really, really good for letting the body go. So much of the time during the day, we're holding the arms up, the shoulders start getting tense. Our body is active, ready to move to the left, to the right, forward, back. Even in a chair, we're still holding our body and there's tension in the muscles. So as we lie here, we simply let the body relax and go to liquid. And then we'll do the 3-minute check-in. So being aware of the mind. This wonderfully busy mind. The mind is kind of designed with the brain impulses through the brain to think. So it will think. So lets us notice what we're thinking. And we try not to be critical or judgmental of what the mind is doing. For example, there's a tendency in my mind at the moment to jump ahead and think of what I'm teaching next. And for a moment, I just remind myself, yeah, that's what a teacher does, but let's just see, we're lying here on this mat, let's come into this moment. And let's do the same to our emotional awareness. How are we feeling emotionally? Again, gentle, kind awareness. This is how we're feeling. And there's always a reason for how we're feeling. And then let's take the awareness to the body. So notice any areas that may feel particularly tense. You can move your shoulders down a little bit more, unwrinkle your forehead, release the jaw. Open the hands out a little bit more. Just sensing around your body where those areas of tension are. And then how does your body feel this moment? Scan as much of the body as you can. How is this body doing? And then if you find any area of the body that you remember is feeling a little bit wonky, a little bit sore, wobbly, needs more attention, remember to adjust the poses so that you're protecting that part of the body. And then we'll turn the awareness to the breath and the body being breathed. It's an amazing miracle of the breath. So noticing the in-breath and the out-breath. Noticing the pauses in between. And noticing how the body moves when you're breathing. And you'll probably find the mind wandering off. It's forgotten all about the breath. So just gently coming back to awareness of the body being breathed. And then the last stage of the 3-minute breathing space is to be aware of the breath and the body, the emotions and the mind. Everything that's happening in this moment, in this room, on this mat, in your body. Noticing. And even though we've only been here for a few minutes, you can probably feel, if you're tired, that the body has sunk into the ground some more. You're quite happy resting here for a longer time. You can kind of reassure it, it's all right, we'll do a relaxation again at the end of the practice. And then let's bring the legs together to parallel, point toes away. And breathing in, stretch the arms above the head. You can still have your blanket on if you're cold. But we'll do that long body stretch and bringing in the belly button, lengthening the rib cage away from the waist and from the hips. And you can move your right heel and left heel even further away from you, and move your right back of the hand and left back of the hand along the floor further away from you. So you feel you're coming to an absolute maximum stretch. So to release tension around the shoulders, just let the shoulders actually drop wide apart and down. We'll open out under the armpit, in the armpit area, stretching open the lymph glands around that area. And hopefully opening the chest out as well. Relaxing the face still. And this is a much underused yoga pose, the lying down stretched mountain. Nice and long and opening. Lovely. And then we're going to warm up today by standing, doing warming up work. So I would bend the knees, bring the heels up to the torso, and think about your blanket and where you want to put it. If you took glasses off for that initial check-in, put your glasses back on, and then coming up to your mat. Have a block nearby, you might need it, or 2 blocks nearby. It's always a good habit anyway to have a block close. And then what I'd like you to do is to come up to standing. So rolling over onto one side and coming up, pushing with the hands, and standing in the mountain for a moment. Hopefully fairly comfortable. Relax the arms. And then we're going to do some warm-ups here. So I'd like you to raise your right knee, left knee, 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 right knee, left knee. So they're going up as high as they can go, really. And this is easier in the evening than in the morning. In the morning, you might feel a bit more stiff. If you want to, you can march up and down your mat. Okay, and then eventually, let's do that out to the side. So you can put your hands on your waist, and I'm slightly pulling up my toes. You'll feel that really begin to work muscles, tendons and ligaments. This front part of the hip. Might not look terribly elegant. Very good for the hip area. Okay, and then feet wider than your hip width apart, and just doing some circles. First of all, clockwise. If 12 o'clock is at the front, behind you is 6 o'clock. We do those lovely hip rotations. So this is to really help the hip joint keep more lubricated. And then we're more flexible there. Then the other way. Big circles. As though, I believe it's as though you were playing with a hula hoop. Okay, so about the same amount going the other way. And then I'd like you to, with the same wider than usual feet apart, bring up your left hand and slide your right hand down your leg. Breathe in, come up with both hands. Breathe out, left hand down the leg. Breathe in, come up. So follow your own breathing pattern and you're just going from side to side. Really stretch up as though you're going to try and touch the ceiling. Breathing out, going down, breathing in, going up. Breathing out, going down, breathing in, going up. And try not to lean forward to do it. Okay, it's very much a side stretch. Okay, and then take the arms out to parallel to the floor and just rotate. Good. And then the Egyptian dance rotation into the shoulder joint. And then we could do the backstroke. Really getting that shoulder joint to move. And the forward, exaggerated forward, front crawl. Open out the shoulder blades. Really feel them moving in the back. Okay. And then what I'd like you to do is come back to just standing. And I'd like you to take your right arm up and your left hand, point it down. So you're one arm straight out, one arm straight down. And then take your top hand out a little bit, and the other hand out in the same line. Can you see? So one hand, if 12 o'clock is in front of me, is probably pointing about 1:30 at the top. And the hand down at the bottom is probably around 7 o'clock. And then change over. So let's go back up for a moment and take your right hand down. Take it to 7 o'clock. Oh no, that would be 5 o'clock. That's still 5 o'clock. And the other one comes out of it at 10:30. And if this all feels a bit, oh, it's a bit difficult with all these 10 o'clocks and 6 o'clocks and 7 o'clocks, making the mind do things out of its comfort zone is a good way to keep the brain really flexible itself. Doing things that are like a little bit, oh, that's a bit, oh, that's tricky. Okay, and then release. Cool. And then bring the hands right hand on top of left. Breathe in, come up to the throat chakra. Breathe out and go down. Breathe in, up. Breathe out and down. And then we're going to do the crossover where you raise one knee up and the opposite elbow goes towards it. So if you want to see how it looks, it's easier to do rather than to say. It's like so. So keep the abdominal area quite strong. That's lovely. This can get quite tiring. I'm also realising that as I've got this new mic in my mouth, I'm still talking loudly because my laptop is right across the room and I can see people on the laptop and I'm trying to shout to you. I don't have to remind myself I don't have to. Okay, that should be good. Then we go from side to side. You see what the hands feel like as if you just swing them, gravity weight, down and up, down and up, down and up, down and up. Whoosh, 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 and release. Lovely. So what we're going to do next is we're actually going to do some sun salutes. So you may need to adjust your mat. So that if you're looking at me on your screen, you're facing me because you need to be at the end of your mat. This is where it helps that I have two mats. So one facing forward, like so. And then we come to the front of the mat. Okay. Relax, relax, relax. Standing in the mountain pose again, just look down at your feet for a moment. So we want the second toes and the big toes to be pointing to 12 o'clock. Look at the ankle. My ankles tend to collapse inwards, so I have to consciously move them out to get even weight through the heel of the foot, and then even weight through the ball of the foot. Spread the toes a little. Drop the shoulders down. Shoulder blades are coming together and downwards towards the tailbone. Literally. And then, of course, those shoulders, they're always trying to creep up. So So just wiggle and jiggle them down a bit. Tuck the tailbone under. Engage the abdominal core if you can. Slight pull in on the muscles here, very slight, but enough to protect here. And then if you know how to pull up the base lock, pelvic floor, lift that. And the crown of the head, of course, lifting upwards towards the heavens. So we're going to do the sun salute, salutation to the sun, Surya, Namaskar. Surya, the sun. Namaste is a salutation, a greeting. So Surya Namaskar. Let's breathe in first, coming all the way up with the hands, palms together, and breathe out and coming down. And then we can visualize the sun rising on the eastern horizon. First of all, there's that light pre-dawn. And then the birds start to twitter. And the sun itself starts to peep over the eastern horizon. And as it peeps over, let's drop the hands, breathe in, take them up, palms facing forward and then up to the ceiling and look up. Nice back arch. And as we breathe out, we'll come down. You can bend the knees, you might be feeling a bit stiff. Drop the head. And then breathe in, let's take the left foot back. So you're in the starter's running position. And if you want to, you can put that left knee on the ground. And then breathing out, let's go into downward facing dog by jumping your right foot back. And then breathing in, you push forward so that you're in the plank position. And breathing out, bend the knees to the floor, drop the tops of the feet to the floor and the forehead to the floor. So lying on the floor, keep your elbows tucked in. And then breathing in, nose along the mat, come up into cobra, keeping the pelvis on the floor as much as possible. Tuck the toes under, breathe out, and back into downward facing dog. And then you really want that left foot forward, so you can jump it forward now, or you could put your right knee on the ground, reach back to your left leg and pull it forward. Okay, so you choose in this starter position with the left leg at front, whether you've got your knee on the ground or not. And then jump the right foot forward, forward bend, bend the knees, use your thighs to bring you up, going back into the back arch, and then lengthening up, hands together, breathe out and down. So that was one pair. I'll do the other side. Breathe in, up we go, looking up, breathe out, forward bend. Breathe in, take the right foot back this time, and breathe out, both feet back to downward facing dog. Breathe in, plank, breathe out, flatten the tops of the feet onto the floor, forehead to floor, breathe in, cobra, tuck the toes under, breathe out, downward facing dog. Breathe in, jump the right foot forward, or lift it forward, breathing out, forward bend. Now don't worry about that bit being a bit tricky, it is a bit tricky. Then using the thighs to come up the lower back, back arch, hands together, breathe out. Okay, so if you're not sure about that, I'm going to continue doing it, but side on. So second pair. So because I move position, I'll just breathe in, breathe out, ground, visualize the sun rising, breathe in, arms down, and then up and look up, back arch, breathe out and down, forward bend, you can bend the knees, breathe in, left foot back, looking forward, breathe out into downward facing dog, breathe in, plank, breathe out, down, flatten the tops of the feet onto the floor, elbows tucked in, breathing in, nose along the mat, up you go into cobra, tuck the toes under, breathe out, downward facing dog, and then breathing in, jump Was it? Left foot forward. I'm breathing out. Both feet together. Breathe in, bend the knees, slight squat. Use the sides to come up. And breathing out, coming down to the heart. And then we'll do the other side. So drop the hands, breathe in, come up. Breathe out, coming down. Forward bend. Breathe in, jump with the right foot back. Breathe out, take the left foot back to downward facing dog. Breathe in, plank. Breathe out, down. Back on the feet. Breathe in, nose along the mat, chin on the mat, up into cobra. Tuck the toes under, breathe out. Downward facing dog. And then breathe in, jump the right foot forward or bring it forward. Looking up. And then both feet to the front. Forward bend. Bend the knees, breathe in, come up. Breathe out and down. Okay. And then the last pair. So breathing in, coming up, look up to the heavens. Breathe out, bend the knees, breathe out as you come down, forward bend. Breathe in, left foot goes back, looking up. Breathe out, both feet go back, downward facing dog. Breathe in, plank. Breathe out, down onto the floor, elbows tucked in, top of the feet on the floor. Breathe in, cobra. Tuck the toes under. Breathe out, downward facing dog. You can put your right knee on the ground or jump the left foot forward or pull the left foot forward. Looking forward. Breathe out, forward bend. Bend the knees, squat. Breathe in, use your thighs to bring you up. Back arch. Breathe out and down. And then the last one, the three pairs, the last part. Breathe in, opening up. Breathe out, hand down. Take the right foot back, look forward. And breathe out, both feet back, downward facing dog. Breathe in, plank. Breathe out and down, back on the feet. Breathe in, up into cobra, pelvis on the ground, toes under, breathe out and back. And then choose, you can put the left knee on the floor and bring the right leg forward or jump the right leg forward. Breathe out, both feet together. Then bend the knees, squat, coming up. Breathe in, looking up, arching back. Breathe out and down. Lovely. So pausing for a moment. So that was at my pace, my breathing pace. So it might have been too fast for you, it might have been too slow for you. The main thing is to do it at your pace. So once you've got the hang of the sun salute, try to do it where you feel comfortable. At any point you can rest. You can rest especially when you're lying down, face down to the floor. You could stay there for quite a few breaths. And you don't have to do 3 pairs. You could have done 1 pair. But the nice thing is to get a nice rhythm of it going as you go through it. There are mantras that go with each position of the sun salute, but I won't go into those now. So just generally moving through it smoothly, comfortably, hopefully. So once we've done that, moving back into one of the interim poses for standing, back into the mountain, Tadasana. You can visualize a lovely mountain in your mind's eye. And we'll think of that even weight going through both feet, going deep, deep, several miles deep into the earth, like a mountain does. So it's kind of immovable and solid and steady. And let go for a moment, pretend we're here for several hours. Close the eyes. And let the breathing just quieten down. Nothing to do for a moment. Just being. And then, as I said at the beginning, we're going to do triangle to warrior. So separating the feet apart, about your leg length apart. And then we're going to go to the right. So bring your left toes in at an angle. Pointing at 12 o'clock again is straight in front of me. The left toes are facing towards, I guess, 1 o'clock. Yes, that makes sense. And then now let's turn. As we turn the front foot, we now make 12 o'clock along the length of the mat. So just checking that. Okay, and put hands on your pelvis. We need to check whether the pelvis is in the right position. Quite a lot of people, many years ago, used to teach the triangle and actually say, and it's in the textbooks as well, have the pelvis level to the wall behind you. Or imagine you're leaning it against the wall, you're completely flat this way. But then when they bent this knee would travel. Let me show you straight on. So imagine I get this pelvis and I pretend I'm against a wall, okay? Right, pelvis against this imaginary wall behind me. And then if I do the triangle that way, or the warrior, any bend in the knee is going way over, and it's meant to always go over that second toe. So now we're much more careful. And we bend that front knee, we check, we have our hands on the pelvis to check. Then we straighten the front knee and we keep the pelvis right there, right where it won't do any harm. And then breathing in, take the arms up to parallel to the floor. The next thing to think about is the gap between the bottom of the rib cage and your pelvis. And that's got all the good internal organs in, and you need it to be quite a large gap. So without taking the shoulders and arms up by your ears, try lifting from the crown of the head and making that space bigger. And then we want to imagine this front lower part of the rib cage has an imaginary obstacle about here that we're going to lift it up and over and down. We're not going to kind of collapse this side over. We're going to lift and go over. So breathing in, breathe out, lift and over. And this is where you might need your block. So as you've gone over, you might find that you feel more comfortable with your hand on a block at any level. So just feel your way into that. Remembering always that the blocks aren't cheating. The blocks are actually helping you do the perfect pose and get the best benefit from the pose from the asana. Okay, and then you take the arm over, past the ear, stretch out from the back ankle to the front fingers, long flank stretch, and look up through that upper arm if you can. And at any time you can reach for your block if you put it to one side. Okay, take the arm straight up. Lovely. Look up if you can. Try and see that the arms are stacked above each other like a long, straight pole up to the heavens. And then to come out of it, let's bend that front knee over that second toe and put our right elbow on our right knee and then push to come up. And then just turn these right toes to the 12 o'clock that's now in front of me, and turn the left toes away. Look back at the right toes and pull them in a little. And we'll now make 12 o'clock to the left of our mat, going off the left end of our mat. Okay, put the hands on the pelvis and bend that front left knee. Okay, get the knee going over that second toe. Then straighten it, keep the pelvis there, roll the shoulders back, shoulder blades coming together and down. Breathe in, arms up, parallel to the floor. Breathe out, breathe in, lengthen the crown up. Okay, breathe out. Lengthen some more, think of the rib cage coming away from the pelvis. And then on the next out breath, we'll lift over and down. And again, if at any stage you need your block, carefully reach for your block and put it where you need it. to make sure that you're doing the pose comfortably for you. Listen to your body, see what it's trying to tell you. Looking up to the heavens, trying to keep that arm very much in line with the lower arm and not falling forward at all. And then take that arm, stretching the armpit past the ear, right ear, pointing towards your left foot. Push your right ankle, the outside of it, away from you. Stretch your right hip away from you. And allow that lovely long flank stretch as you look up through your right upper arm. Breathing into it. If you can do the base lock, do try. Just pulling up around the perineum on the base floor, torso. Okay, and then to come out of it, breathing in. All right, the arm goes up. If you're tired, you could actually go down towards the floor to come up, but you've still got energy. Bend that front knee. Place the hand or elbow on that front knee and push and come up. So you're not straining the back as you come up. And then we're going to move into the warrior. And of course, we could do it straight away. But I'd quite like you to shake out your legs, just for kindness to your legs. Give them a bit of a shake. You can give them a rub as well. Muscles for the legs. How are they doing? Okay. Lovely. And then just pause for a sec into impose mountain. And eventually in time, the body, when you go into the mountain pose, Tadasana, it knows, oh, I know this pose, this is where I let go, stand steady. And it kind of does the work for you. It gets itself right where it knows it's meant to be, as best as possible. So we're now going to do warrior 1 and 2 on both sides. In warrior 1 and 2, the feet are much wider apart than for Trikonasana, the triangle. In the warrior, we try to ensure that the further we get the legs apart, you see, the easier the warrior is. So that's one thing to check. And the second thing that's kind of major is not to lean the torso one way or the other. You need it to be straight up. So let's always tend to usually start with the right foot. Let's put the right foot pointing to 12 o'clock on the right hand end of our mat, and the left foot, it'll go back and then it won't be far enough. So walk the left foot, possibly even scarily away from you, okay? And then look and see the middle point of the front heel should be in line with where the instep starts on the back foot. Now that for me feels kind of a little bit scarily wide, but I know that it's probably going to be easier if I even went a little wider. So I'm just going to move a little bit wider. Then hands on the hips and bend the front knee. In warrior, this is important because we will keep the knee bent. So bend that right knee over that second toe and feel what's happening here with the back knee. If it's not feeling quite right, you can move the foot until the back knee feels okay. So we've got that bent front knee. We've got the pelvis in the right position. Okay, you can straighten a little bit this front knee as we go into the pose, arms out, parallel to the floor. Okay, and then it looks like I'm leaning, but I'm trying very hard not to lean. Breathing out, bend the knee only, so the torso just goes down rather than leaning forward. And you've got this nice right angle behind that front knee, and the thigh is moving towards parallel to the floor. And then check your back hand, which tends to travel to the front, and move it back a little and drop the shoulders. Okay. And just check if you've got a window you can look at or a mirror. You can see yourself. Just check you're not actually leaning forward. Looking along the front arm then into infinity. Invincible. Okay. And then I'd like you to turn the hands and look over your front foot. And then take the arms on the in-breath straight up. Turn and push the back heel behind you a little bit more, so you're not compromising that back knee joint. And then see if you can bend deeper into the warrior with the arm lift. We're not staying in there very long. Breathe out, bring the arms to parallel. Breathe in, bring the right foot in towards the center, drop the arms, and then let's walk heel toe, those legs towards us. There's a lot of work on the legs. And do some knee kicks from side to side. Okay, and then shake out the arms as well. Okay, and then we'll do the other side. So left foot out, right foot back. Check they're in alignment, the middle of the front heel. Draw a line straight down your mat. Should be where the instep starts on your back foot. And then do what I do, sort of look and think, well, that feels scarily wide, but I'll inch my foot forward, I'll inch my back foot back until I get to a point where it almost feels ridiculously too wide. Then hands on hips, bend the front knee. Okay, and that gives you your hip position. All right, breathe in, take the arms up to parallel. And then remember, all we're going to do is bend that front knee. We're not leaning anywhere. So the front knee bends as we go down into the pose. Back arm, just check it's not traveling to the front. And then look along the length of this arm into infinity. Invincible, strong, powerful warrior. Check that knee, that it's not traveling anywhere. Breathing. And then turn the back foot as you swing round to face over that front left foot. Turn the heel away from you on the back foot and take the arms straight up. Okay, and then see if you can do an even deeper lunge there. The torso going straight up, arms going straight up. Breathe into it. Lovely. Breathe out, take the arms back down. Turn the front foot to the center, towards toes towards the center. Heel toe, heel toe, heel toe. Come out and shake. You can also, when you're out wide and you need to bring the feet together, you can jump. But heel toe is that little bit safer and less jerky, less awkward actually. So I like the heel toe. So again, back into the mountain, nice and steady. Pause. See if the body's responding, knowing what the mountain feels like. Here we go. Steady through the ankle joint, tailbone tucked in, back of the neck nice and long, chin slightly down, shoulder blades coming together and slightly down, hands hanging heavy. Forehead relaxed, jaw relaxed, crown of the head lifting into the heavens. So nice. And it's a lovely interim pose when we've been doing something as vigorous as Warrior 1 and Warrior 2. Okay, and then we're about to come down towards the floor to do some work on the floor, but I would like you to do the horse pose before we do that. So separating the legs out wide again, and if 12 o'clock is straight in front of my heart center, I would like the toes on the right to be pointing to about 1:30, and the toes on the left pointing to about 10 o'clock, 10:30. Okay, and then look at the knees. Okay, and take the knees over the feet. So that might require pushing the knees out so that we don't compromise that hinge joint. So you end up kind of in a sumo wrestler for a moment. So we're pushing the knee around and you're sitting on an imaginary stool. If at any point that knee hurts, adjust the foot. It will take the pressure off the front of the kneecap on that side. You'll feel a very big groin stretch and up to stretch there. And then to do the full horse pose. So we're riding a horse, bring the hands up and down to the heart, trying to be upright on the horse. You do a little bit of a bouncy bounce, but only if you know you've got your knees in the proper position. If you haven't, don't bouncy bounce. In fact, don't come out of the pose. Don't compromise those very tricky knee joints. And then eventually you're down so low that you think you probably can't stay here for longer than a few seconds. And you'll feel the thighs start to burn away as the muscles try and keep us in this position. And try and soften the face. Breathing into it. Okay. Lovely. And then we're not going to push to come up. The thighs might be happy to hear that. We're actually going to let the hands come down, straighten out the legs, and go into the wide angled forward bend. And in this again, you can slightly heel toe, the feet wider apart. Again, the wider the feet are apart, the deeper you can go into the pose. So breathing into that nice forward bend. And then push through the hands and walk the hands forward to go into this strange shaped table, forehead and front of the face parallel to the floor. Okay. And then walk the feet a little bit closer together so that you can bend the knees again just to come up. And I just want you to slide your hands down your legs, bend the knees, rub the legs a little. And we're going to do a twist by bringing your left hand down to the center of the floor and the right hand up. And then breathe out, swap hands, right hand down, left hand up, look up. Breathe out and down. So keep going with your breath. When you look up, you can actually straighten the arm. And when you come down, you can rest and bring the head towards the floor, and then push and straighten up the other arm and look up to the hands. So nice and rhythmic with the breath. And then the next one up, staying in the pose, lengthen the arm up to the heavens. Breathe, try to turn the head as much as possible, looking way, way, way behind you. Okay, breathing out, coming down, drop the head for a moment. Stay down, and then the other hand in position. Up, breathe in, look up. Twist the head. Look into your peripheral vision. Breathing into the pose. And staying about the same amount of time. Okay, and breathing out, coming down. Wonderful, walk the hands in front of you and bring the feet slightly closer together so that you can go into kneeling. And I want you to sit in the easy kneeling pose because we're going to do the threading the needle, but our interim pose is simple kneeling. So if that's difficult for you, remember you can use a block and you can put them on the block on your heels and sit on the block or a cushion or a blanket rolled up. Okay, but for some people it's really comfortable. You lucky people to sit back on your heels. And remember, as a child, you'd often sit and watch television or at school assemblies, you could be sitting kneeling, you were quite comfortable. So it's something that we'll have lost over time by stiffening up. If your kneecaps are hurting, there's too much pressure at the front of the knee, that's an indication you need to go up onto a block. So the hands are palms downwards on the thighs and the shoulders are back and the elbows are underneath. the shoulder joint. Close the eyes for a moment. Breathing, relaxing, letting go. Shoulder blades coming together and downwards towards the tailbone. So we're going to do threading the needle. I love it because it's a wonderful torso twist. It's quite comfortable, and you can sort of wriggle yourself into quite a soothing pose whilst you're doing this wonderful twist. So if you could bring the hands forward, and we go into what seems to be a normal table. And then I'd like you to raise your right hand up and take it through the gap between your left knee and your left hand, and reach as far as you can, dropping then your right shoulder to the ground and looking at your left hand. Then try and move the head a little bit more so that you're looking up to the heavens, and walk the fingers a little bit more through the needle. I'm going through the needle. Breathe into that. And because it's a twist, this left hand can stay on the ground, it can relax, it can bend. The left hand can also, you can lift it up to the heavens and then drop it, bent elbow. The back of the left hand can touch your right flank. Okay. And if you are doing that, we then take the arm up, left hand up to the heavens, and coming down, left palm to the floor. Push through the left palm, coming up, and the interim pose, before we do the other side, widen the knees, big toes touching, and then coming down, full head to the floor. We just relax there. Open out the spine, tuck the chin under a little, walk the fingers, a bit more lovely, along the mat. Lowering the pelvis down between the feet. Breathe, rest. And in this one, the shoulder blades can go quite wide. So we don't want to go into the opposite side of the pose, feeling rushed or we've exerted ourselves too much in the cortisol move pose and the breath as well. Just steady out a moment. And then pull the hands back to about either side of the head and push and come up. And rearrange so you're back into a comfortable table position. So it's the left hand this time that's going to go through between the right knee and the right hand. So breathe in and then breathe out, left hand. Threads through the needle, all the way through, bringing the side of the head onto the floor, left shoulder onto the floor. See if you can walk your left fingers a little bit more on the floor. And if you wish, your right hand can come up, and you can turn the head a bit more up to the ceiling. And then you can drop that hand, if you like, back of the right hand on the left flank, and turn right shoulder further back behind you. Okay, and then breathing in, right hand to the ceiling. Breathing out, right hand down to the floor, palm downwards. Push through that hand. Come up, push right up onto the knees. Take the arms out to the side. Turn the arms, palms upwards. Bring them straight up, palms facing each other. Long, straight arms up above you. Lift the shoulders away from you. Upwards, away from the torso. Try to reach the ceiling. Keep breathing. Nice big space where the internal organs are. Okay, breathing out and coming down. So I'd like us to do another twist, and it's hard for me to know whether it's uncomfortable for you kneeling or whether you'd prefer to be seated. So if you're thinking, I can't do this kneeling, then you've got options. You could come out of kneeling into the mermaid pose, and then you could swing the arms round, the legs round, so that they're facing the front, and do everything in this pose. Or you could even do a twist from an easy cross-legged pose. And you could use a block to sit on as well if you find it uncomfortable. But I'm going back to kneeling for those who want to do it in the kneeling pose. If you have one of the wonderful knee pad cushions, I would use it. It's always a good idea for these knees. You need lots of looking after. Okay, so we're doing a twist from here. Whichever leg position you're in, if you could raise your left hand and bring it over to your right knee, and raise your right hand and take it round behind you. Okay, and then see if you can get fingertips or hand touching the floor behind you. Breathe in, lengthen up, chin down, so the back of the neck is nice and open. Breathe out, turn, and look behind you over your right shoulder. So breathe in, up, to the crown of the head. Breathe out, turn, and you can use your left hand to push on that right knee. Pushing and turning, pushing and turning. Breathing in, always lengthening up. Breathing out, turning, and looking more to the right. Until eventually you get to what feels like your maximum position. And try to sort of relax into it, drop the shoulders, drop any tension in the face. And just breathe into it. Allowing the pose to work on you. Changing you physically, emotionally, and mentally. And we'll try not to get in the way. Release any struggle. And then breathing out, coming round to the front. Now, you might already be thinking, if you're in a kneeling pose or any of the other positions, actually, my legs, my knees, or something has had enough. So you can actually, I know we always say we have to mirror one side to the other, exactly. But sometimes your body's complaining, it doesn't want to. So I would listen to your body. If your body's saying, no more kneeling, thank you. If you want to do kneeling on the other side, I'm going to do cross-legged. Go for it. Do that. You get more brownie points for being kind to yourself. Okay, so however our legs are, let's take the right hand up and take it over to the left knee. And the left hand goes round the back, creates a staff, ensuring that the spine stays upright. And then drop the chin a little so the back of the neck is open but not curved. And then breathe in, lengthen up on the tailbone. And breathe out, turn using your right hand straight up against that left knee. And look round, and then breathe in, lengthen up. And breathe out, turn some more. All the way into the neck. Breathe in, lengthen up. Breathe out, turn. So keep doing that until you get to your maximum twist. Relax the face. Relax the shoulders. See if you can twist the neck anymore. And when you're in the pose at your maximum, you might still find that your right hand is doing quite a lot of work because it's got you there and it's holding you there. So try to relax the arm, but use the fingers and the strength to keep you there. Similarly with the back arm, relax the shoulder, relax the arm. The fingertips might be doing some work. The hand is doing the work to keep you there. So if you coiled a string and they're just holding, and then eventually we'll release and let them go and swing around to the front. So when you think you've done about the same amount of time on this side, breathing out, coming round to the front. Pausing, resting the palms on the knees and then sliding them back so that the elbows are underneath the shoulders. Resting, resting, resting. Okay. Just get a sense of the body being still for a moment. And then go over onto the outside of your left thigh. And your feet are now on the right. Just hold and twist over so you're holding on the right. It's as if you were kneeling. If you're cross-legged, you might need to go into kneeling and then slip over onto the left side. So mermaid to the left with the head looking to the right. And then swing the arms round to the left. Push, come up to kneeling, slip down onto the outside right flank of your legs. Take the arms over to the left. Hold the pose. Okay, and then bring the feet round to the front. And you might need a small or large block. I'm going to use one of my half width blocks just to sit on. Just make sure that my lower back is in the right position. So you have a small cushion or something, or even your blanket, just tucking it under the tailbone, and then pull your sitting muscles back so that you're sitting comfortably. And bring your toes towards you. Widen out the toes for a minute, and we go into Gohan, so the toes are waving happily. And then I'd like you to take the outsides of the feet to the side. Okay, and then back. Move them apart and see if you can get the insides of the feet to the floor. So this is major hip rotation, right from up here, where the femur is joining the socket in the pelvis. Don't worry about whether the knees are straight or bent. It's the work we're doing. Ankle and hip joint. Okay, good. And then we're going to do the reverse plank. So we were doing the plank in sun salute, and that was the one where the front of the face is facing the floor. Now we're doing the reverse, where we take the legs out. So move what you were sitting on just then. Take the legs out in front of you. Take the hands behind you. Now technically, the hands, the fingers are facing the front like so. But I find that really uncomfortable on my wrists. So uncomfortable, I'm just not going to do it. But if you want to do it, it's fine for you, please do. What I tend to do is take the fingers pointing backwards or slightly to the sides, because that's really comfortable for me. It means I can do the pose better. Or some people like to do it with fists, so the palms of the hands facing in towards the torso, and then on their fists. So choose your hand position. Okay. We're not going to go up and stay in it for ages. We're going to go up, try it out, think about what's right and what's wrong, or whether the hand position works for you, and then come down. And then we're going to go up again. So to go into this pose, basically you're going to really use your abdominal muscles to lift. The pelvis is going to come up off the floor. And you're going to go up like so, up with the pelvis. So it's easier for me to show you sideways on. My hands are going back behind me, and I lift the pelvis. And technically, I'd like the head to be in line, or even resting on the top of my back. The head Going back and opening out the throat. Okay, coming down. Now think about your wrists. Give them a bit of a wrist rotation. Did they like that hand position, or were they like, no, sorry, didn't work, didn't like it? Choose a different one. So this time I might choose my fists. Go up again. Yes, that's quite comfortable. Then try to see if you're in line from your ankle joint, through your knees, hips, neck, crown of the head. Breathing into it. So when you've got a comfortable hand position, you can actually stay around up there a little bit longer. But at some point, probably your hands, your wrists, or even maybe your abdominal muscles or back muscles will start to complain that actually this is a lot of hard work. So you're breathing in, pausing and breathing out, coming down. And then I'd like you to go into the seated cobbler. So again, you might need a block just under the tailbone. It's why it's handy to have the blocks and things just next to you when you want to grab one. So sit on the edge of your block, and we'll go into the cobbler. So the soles of the feet are together. Now, if you find this one difficult, you can use a strap or a tie to hook it round the feet, and then using the ends of your belt or tie, you can pull the feet closer in, heels closer into the torso, okay? So the idea is to have this really nice open groin area and adductor muscles, and you can even try gently, don't let anybody else do this to you, encouraging your knees downwards like so, bending the elbows and pushing down a little, and just seeing if that's comfortable. I wouldn't let anybody else do this to you. Sometimes people put weighted, you'll have weights in yoga where you can weight them down on one side or the other, but I find it gentler and more compassionate to just use both hands on one side and then just encourage a little bit of opening and stretching, and then move to the other side, a little bit of opening and stretching. Okay. And then eventually get to the stage, hopefully, where you can look your toes and the tops of your feet, then pull the hands back to the ankles, shoulders back on both sides, rotate them back, shoulder blades coming together, chest area coming forward, crown of the head, lifting upwards, and move the chin so that you can feel that the back of the neck is just comfortable, the vertebrae comfortably balanced on each other. And at that stage, you might find you can pull your heels even closer in as well. Close the eyes, resting, settle Bandhasana. The band angle pose, more commonly known as the cobbler. And then release the legs out. If you get comfortable in the cobbler pose, no harm in staying in it for as long as you like, really. Just keep an eye on internal awareness onto inside the knee joint to make sure that it's not suffering in any way. And then the pose we're going to do next is lying on our front. I would like to, as after all the work we've been doing, to apply some pressure onto the abdominal area. So if we could come into the Sphinx, where the forearms are parallel to each other and the middle fingers are parallel to each other. So look down, just check. Hopefully they're at shoulder width apart, parallel, comfortable. The elbows might tend to creep forward, so they're meant to be underneath that shoulder joint, so you might have to pull them back a little. If you had a mirror to the side, you would just check whether there's a nice 90-degree angle, elbow to up arm. And then push through the pelvis. So easy Sphinx is just hanging around here doing nothing very much. It's quite comfortable, looking face forward. But to really engage the deep psoas muscles and deep in the pelvis and the back muscles, we push the pelvis into the floor, as though we were going to balance on the pelvis, and you'll feel the deep muscles in the lower back engage. Okay, and then again, bring the shoulder blades together and downwards, down through the back, and then lift from the crown of the head upwards, and breathing into that. Lovely pose, the Sphinx. Keep pushing through the pelvis. Lovely. And then from there, we're going to do the bow. And then we're about done, really. So reach back, left hand to left ankle. Keep the thigh in line. And both thighs are parallel to each other. So that danger point in the bow, so if you've reached your ankles or your socks or the end of your jogging bottoms or however you can reach back, just don't let the knees go out wide and separate. Lift thighs up if you can at all. If you can't, don't worry, lift up the chest. And hopefully I'll show you side on. We're going into what looks like a bow and arrow shape. This is the bow of the bow and arrow shape. So some yoga books, they rather humorously tell you to put your soles of your feet on your shoulders or your head. I just go up as far as I feel comfortable. I'm not a gymnast. Making sure those knees don't spread out wide. And then eventually you'll feel you've had well enough. So bringing the legs down, let's go into the crocodile to rest. So walk your feet away, out, long way away from each other. Okay, and put the toes going outwards. So if you could measure, it's probably about 3 or 4 feet wide with those feet apart from each other. And then the right hand fingers go onto your left shoulder. Left hand fingers go onto the left shoulder. Then lift your rib cage away from your pelvis. It's like you're moving the lower ribs, they're walking away from the pelvis on your mat. And then your elbows do the same, they walk away from you. And then your chin rests on the cross section, the wrist. And then close the eyes, and we'll be the sleeping crocodile, Makrasana. And then lift up the head and swap the fingers. So if you look at your hands, you've probably got your right forearm underneath your left. You just swap them. So you can slide the left fingers underneath the right arm and then rest again. You might want to see if you can move your elbows out wider, still keeping fingertips in touch with your shoulders. Okay, and then bring the arms, elbows back, arms to past your shoulders, hands past your shoulders, bring the feet together, push and come up. And that's the end of our actual yoga asana work. So we're going to do the final relaxation. So I brought you up so that you could go and get your blanket for underneath you, blanket on top of you, turn out the main light. If you have one on, we don't want the glare coming down. If you have a lovely weighted eye pillow, take the glasses off if you have them, put your eye pillow on, make yourself snug, comfy, really enjoy, and we'll be in this pose for 8 to 10 minutes. So gathering underneath the blanket. And then quite often when it's, about an hour and a half into the class, if you do need to go and use the restroom, the bathroom, this is a good point to go and do that, so you're not lying there with a full bladder annoying you. All about taking good care of you. A lot of people need a little block for underneath their head. And if you had socks, you might need to put your socks on. Just double checking that you'll be warm enough. Okay, and then comfortably lying in Shavasana. I'm not going to say anything for a moment. Comfortably relaxing. Okay, I wondered where I went. I was following my own instructions and I went for a quick bathroom break because it really is uncomfortable lying there wanting to have a pee when you're meant to be relaxing. Okay, so just checking that you're comfortable. Shoulders away from the head. Are you going to be warm enough? And let body quieten down. So imagine the body becoming heavy. Like we did at the beginning of the class, the feet are about 2 foot apart, the toes going outwards. The shoulder blades are quite wide. And the shoulders really move down away from the head. Palms are upwards. Might feel a bit strange, but it's to do with the energy channeling down the arms. And the chin slightly down so that the back of the neck is open. And then we can just let the body go. It's worked hard this evening, so congratulations to us for getting to this practice. And if you were doing it in the morning, then you probably found you were feeling a little bit stiff. And we're hoping we'll come to a feeling of the body completely letting go and dropping away. Absolutely nothing to do. Just let it drop. Let it go. Including around the face, such as the eyes, forehead, jaw, mouth. We know we're moving into yoga nidra, a deep yoga sleep, a deep restfulness, and the heart's really quietened down and the breathing's quietened down. When we feel as though there isn't a body there almost, you know? But it's so let go and so relaxed that where is it? Where's it gone? Let go completely. Then another way of knowing if you're in or very nearly close to yoga nidra is when you feel you just don't want to move ever. It's so deeply peaceful and restful. And if the mind wanders off, just simply become aware of where you are, this place, here, now. You can imagine I asked you to raise your right hand off the floor. We're deep in yoga nidra. That feels like the hand is just way too heavy to lift off the floor. And it's very easy to fall asleep in yoga nidra. So it helps to have a voice that just keeps bringing you back to awareness and here and now, which is why I occasionally comment as gently and softly as I can. And the state of rest in the heart, in the body, is meant to be like the state of deep sleep that is so restorative and nourishing. But the difference is the mind is aware and awake. And then depending on what you're going to do next, if you have the time and you're aware of the deep rest that you're in and it's restorative and you'd like to stay lying down, please do. And just ignore me when I give instructions for moving and getting up. So for those who wish to move, if you have an eye pillow, just moving that out the way. Wiggle the toes and wiggle the fingers. And then breathing in, stretch the arms above the head and bring the legs to parallel and stretch the toes away. So it's amazing once we start moving, yes, the body is moving again. You can move it doesn't feel too heavy. Stretch and breathe, lengthen, gentle movement coming back into the system. And then you can bend the knees and roll over and come up. And then, if the blanket was on top of you, just move your way, coming into a comfortable position. And thank you, that's the end of our sequence. I hope that was beneficial. Thank you. If you're still in Shavasana, brush. Stay there as long as you're able, as long as you feel comfortable.